everyone knows Photoshop is a really complex program, but it is also my best friend. So today I am showing you the most useful Photoshop hacks and shortcuts ever. Things that will make you say, how did I not know that? So if you do photo editing, digital painting, or designing in Photoshop in general, these shortcuts and hacks will make your life a lot easier and your workflow a lot faster. And I can guarantee you that there's at least one shortcut here that you do not know. I will say I was a little hesitant about making this video because I thought everyone knew these things, but I was working with a few friends the other day and it turned out they didn't know some of the most basic shortcuts out there. So I was like, I need to make this video. And now I am here with you guys. I have divided the shortcuts and hacks in categories. Here they are. And if you're wondering why is there a category for duplicates and copies, yes, there's a lot to cover there. So let's begin. First, the toolbar. This little friend here. These shortcuts that we're gonna go over right now will simplify your life and will avoid you having to go to this bar to click on it constantly. And since these are very basic and beginner level, I'm gonna go through them really quickly. So first we have B to get your brush. Then we have E that will give you the eraser. Then we have the close and open bracket that will allow you to decrease or increase the size of your brush. It works the same for the eraser. If you need to like change your brush, please do not go up here. I see a lot of people who go up there to change the brush. You don't have to do that. Just right click while you have your brush or eraser. This window here will pop up, which allows you to change size, hardness, or select another brush that you might want. And let's say, for example, you have a few brushes that you constantly use and they're on the top of your brush menu. You don't even have to get into the brush menu. You can just use your comma and period and you will switch back and forth between your brushes. Then we have C for crop, I for the color picker, but if you're using your brush already, just hold Option or Alt in PC and your color picker will pop up. Then we have G for the paint bucket tool, P for the pen tool, U for the shape tool, W for the one selection tool, L for the lasso tool, J for the patch tool, S for the stamp tool, M with the marquee selection tool. We also have V to access the move tool, and then F that you can use to switch between standard screen mode, full screen mode with menu bar, or full screen mode without menu bar. Every one of those tools that we just went over on the toolbar, they have alternates. So if you want to access the alternate, you just have to hold shift and then click on the letter multiple times until you get the one you want. Each tool has a lot of options, so you will have to take the time to study those. And speaking of switches, then we have X, which switches between A and B colors. This is something that I find extremely helpful when I am digital painting and I want to switch between two colors, or for example if I'm using a mask, I can switch between the black and white. And then, speaking of black and white, then you have the letter D, that when you click D, it will reset your colors to black and white. And oh my god, one of the most basic ones. Command C, it's undo, and Command Shift C, it's redo. Modifying menus. These are really helpful if you're playing with contrast and colors on photos and illustrations, and they will save you from having to go up there to the image tab to access them. We have Command M to access the curves menu. We have Command L to access the levels menu. We have Command B to access the color balance menu. And then we have Command U for the hue and saturation menu. And now we're onto the layers and group category. So this will work for this little window here, the layer window. If you want to create a new layer, you do Command Shift N. You do Command G to group the layers. You have to select whatever layers you want to group and then you do Command G. Then we have Command E for merging. You select all the layers you want to merge and hit Command E. Also, if you have two normal layers, two regular layers, you can select the layer on the top, hit Command E and it will merge with the layer underneath. And then if you have a group, you can just click on the group, hit Command E, and it will flatten the group. Then we have Command J, which will duplicate whatever layer or multiple layers are selected, and it also duplicates groups. And then this leads to our next category, which is the copies and duplicates category. And yes, trust me, it can be very extensive because there's a lot of little details when it comes to duplicating things that you might not know. First, we have Command C, which probably everybody knows because it's standard across every single program on Earth. Then we have Command V, which obviously it's paste, again, universal. And then we have Command X, which is cut. The difference between copying and cut will remove the information you decided to cut. Instead of like leaving it there and creating a duplicate, it will just like remove it from somewhere and then paste it somewhere else. But then we have Command Shift B, which is paste in place. This is something apparently a lot of people don't know, which is crazy to me because this is a lifesaver. For example, if you're like cutting something and you want it to be on the same place that it was before, a lot of people just hit Command V and then they have to move back that element to the original place. You hit Command Shift V and it will paste exactly where it was. And it will allow you to be very, very precise when you paste things. And if you thought we were done with shortcuts and hacks to duplicate, you're wrong. There's still more. If you have applied effects on one layer, you can just hold Option or Alt in PC and then just drag those effects to the layer you want to apply them as well. And then you just have duplicated all those effects. This hack also works on masks. So if you have a mask on a layer and then you want that exact same mask on another layer, just hold Option or Alt, just drag the mask to the other layer you want that mask applied to, and now you just have both layers with the same mask. And the last hack when it comes to duplicating, I have this photo here with a bubble. Let's say I want to add a bunch of bubbles to this photo. So instead of having to go and do Command J multiple times and then move things around, or having to Command C, Command V, there's also another way for that. I'm gonna go back to my Move tool, which is V, and I'm just gonna duplicate the bubbles by moving them around while I hold Alt. This is so nice and handy. Also, yes, I know this is a Photoshop video, but this also works in Adobe Illustrator and even in Cinema 4D that I have tried myself. So it seems to be a little known but very common hack across a lot of programs. And again, it just makes your life a lot easier. Selections and transformations. Command T is just to transform in general. If you just like move the corner, you can scale it, yes, but it will mess with the proportions. But if you want to keep the proportions intact, just hold Shift, and that way you can scale without messing the proportions. And when you pull things from the corner, it uses the opposite corner as a pivot point. If you want things to scale from the center, just hold Option and then Shift and then expand. Also, there might be times where you do want to mess with the perspective or the proportions, so if you hold Command, you can pull from any corner and you can just scale things freely. Now, selections. There are multiple ways to select things. First, you can hold Command and then just go on the little image of the layer and it will select anything inside of that layer. Literally like a perfect selection, so you don't have to use the Wand tool or anything like that. Another way of selecting layers, when you're on your Move tool, which is V, hold Command and click whatever part you want to select, and it will literally select the layer of that element. And then let's say, for example, you have a lot of layers stacked on top of each other. That happens when you're digital painting, when you're like photo editing. That's pretty common. You know, you add like layers on top of layers on top of layers, and then you want to select something that's like really back there. So you just hold Command and then right click, and then you'll get this little window here that shows you all the layers that are like in that point. And then you can select whatever layer you want to access. And then let's just say you have something selected and then you want to select everything around it, or basically invert the selection. Just do Command Shift I, and that will invert the selection for you with just one click. And then for the last category, I'm just gonna do a few extra ones that I think are very relevant. Okay, we have Command R to show and hide the ruler. Then let's say you're using guides and you want to hide those guides, just do Command semicolon. Obviously Command S to save, Command Shift S to save as. And then if you want to export instead of save, just do Command Option Shift S, and then the export window will pop up. Let's say you're working on RGB, you know, if you're working for digital, you should be working on RGB, and then you wanna see how it would look printed, just do Command Y, and it will show you the colors you're using on CMYK instead of RGB. And then if you want to quickly change the transparency of your brush, eraser, even your paint bucket tool, if you hit 1, it will give you 10% opacity, 2 will give you 20% opacity, 3 will give you 30% opacity, you get the point, so on and so forth. And then 0 will give you 100% opacity. And now I think I am finally out of shortcuts and hacks. Well, actually no, I'm sure I'm forgetting a few. I'm sure there's tons that I don't know. But I really hope you find this video helpful. As long as you're learning 1 or 2, I think my job's done. And I am very happy I am able to help. Let me know in the comments which shortcuts or hacks you find the most helpful, which ones will you be using, or which ones were the most shocking to you. I'll see you in the next one.